For a while now, I've had this fuel filter, just a generic, auto parts store fuel filter installed in the inline between the inlet here and the banjo bolt here on my Weber DCOE 45. And I think this is kind of a weakest link kind of situation. If you can see on here, there's almost no fuel in this. So when I turn it on, it pumps a little bit of fuel, but then it trickles. And every time that I let the car sit for a little while, this thing fills with air, and then there's just no reliability. And so I'm going to take this generic fuel filter off and put another fuel filter in. But I'm also going to want to try in the video today to try to troubleshoot how and why I'm getting air in my fuel filter, air or fumes or whatever's in there, and try to mitigate that, because I want to be able to turn the car over and start it when I need to start it and not have to bleed the air out of the line every time that I decide to take the car for a run. Likewise, sometimes I'll go for a short jaunt and try to start the car and it won't start because there's air in this filter. So today we're going to pull this filter off. We're going to put a new filter on it, and then I'm going to troubleshoot why and how air or fumes are getting into here and see if we can reduce that. Let's get started. All right, so while I was shopping on Amazon, I found a product. These are 5/16 inline fuel filters. They have a glass cover, so that's better than that plastic one in the engine compartment. And these are metallic. They can be tightened, so they won't have to worry about leaking or anything. Got a couple hose clamps on the side over here, but the reason why I bought this one in particular is because it came in a pair of two for the price of one. So it saves me on some shipping. They got here promptly, and they're replaceable. You can change and clean these fuel filters out. You don't have to just keep throwing them out. And the other thing is, I decided that I'm going to put one between the gas tank and the fuel pump, and I'm going to put the other one in the place where that plastic one is in the engine compartment. That way I can capture any foreign debris that enters the gas tank, and the other one will be kind of secondary. And that gives me an opportunity to have a look at the fuel pump. So let's get up underneath the car and put this in there and have a look at the fuel pump. All right, so up underneath the car here, here's my fuel pump. This is a standard SU fuel pump. I think once you get up underneath here, you can see there's kind of an aha moment here. These banjo bolts should be vertical. You can see, let me see if I can orient it so you can see the angle. They're at about a 30-degree angle. I don't know if you can see that. I'm looking back on myself. But this on the top, this should be completely on the top. The little bowler hat should be all the way up at the top, and it's kind of 30 degrees off. And the reason why is this fuel line was cut a little short, and so it was just turned to make the room for the fuel line. So I think once we put the filter in here, we'll have more room on this fuel line, and we can turn that extra 30 degrees that it needs. And that might actually be the source of our bubbles in the fuel, because that is supposed to be oriented vertically, and it's not. And you can see it. This is, lining that up from here. You can see it's easily, I don't know, maybe 20 degrees off, but it's not vertical. So let's go ahead and throw the filter in. We'll put it in somewhere where it's not going to interfere with the routing here, but the next trick is going to be to get the fuel to not come out of the fuel tank when I'm changing the filter. All right, so that's the goal here, is to add that fuel filter, the pre-filter we're going to call it, and then turn this fuel pump about 20 degrees so it's vertical. All right, so there's my little trick to keep the fuel from coming out while I'm working on the line. I got a little welding clamp, it's a little vice grip that locks into position, and I set it just enough to pinch the line without pinching it, breaking it or anything. And if you can see, Yeah, here's a line right here. It's not leaking. So I'd call that successful. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing, and then we'll turn that fuel pump. All right, so there we go. Got turns the corner. Got a little inline fuel filter here. Comes up, and you can see the fuel pump is oriented correctly. I don't know if you can get a better angle, but it is now perpendicular. It's got the little top hat on the top, and looks like that'll solve that problem. I don't know if that's actually the issue, but I know that that is not supposed to be like that. So it's been resolved. All right, so before I put this other one in, I wanted to take it apart and show you real quick how these things are serviceable. They just have some threads on the inside that accept this inside piece here, piece of glass on the outside that seals on these little rubber gaskets. And the filter slides in the middle of this shaft, and it will seal against right here. So there you go. This is your inlet, that's your outlet. Off you go. All right, let's get this thing in the car and do a quick leak test. All right, with the pump running, there's no leaks on the tank side. Looks pretty clean. Little disturbance every time the pump cycles. All right, let's have a look at the engine. All right, in the engine bay, you can see I have a nice flow. A little bit of air in there, but that's initial from the, you know, obviously it was empty when I plugged it in, but it's filling the carburetor nicely, and there's no leakage. Let's go ahead and start the car up and see what we get. So got no leakage, and really good view of what's going on. Every now and then you see the pump squirt some more fuel. Squirt, squirt. See that? You can see it squirting more fuel in as the pressure releases. So I think we're gaining on this bubble. But I think that we're going to call that problem solved. I'm going to take it out for a quick run, and we'll get it nice and hot, and we'll see if we get any kind of vacuum or fumes coming back, trying to fill it backwards. But I think that changing that pump over to being properly oriented might have helped the problem. All right, so that's all I have for right now, unless there's problems with the test run. But that is how to install inline fuel filters on a 1977 MGB. Cheers.